Hi guys, welcome to another episode on the trades you missed last week. So basically, on our previous episode where we stopped was at this fair value gap here. We're looking at this fair value gap here. Let me highlight it for you guys to see it. So this was the fair value gap I was anticipating price would tap into and go down. And when it taps into it, gives us a bearish move, and there will be a fair value gap. Price will also respect at this point here. So let's see how that's happened. So this was what happened, like this. So price tapped into this fair value gap here, and remember there's a fair value gap here that price first tapped into that made this trade valid. So this was a supply zone here, and you can see this supply zone has fair value gap here. So this was a supply zone. Price tapped into it here and created a fair value gap, and prior to creating that fair value gap, you can see a break of market structure here. Let me highlight it here. So this was the break of market structure, and once price tapped into this fair value gap, it gives us a bearish move just like this. You can see how price tapped here, and there's a fair value gap here at this spot. Would be looking at so that we can take our profits here. So this was the last week trade. So this was what happened and giving us a risk reward of 4.12 ratio. So let's go to the next trade, which is our first trade for the week after this trade was shown. So after this trade, we'd see a bullish move. Previous episode we have talked about how price tapped into a first fair value gap and then create for us a break of market structure and another fair value gap. Now this is a break of market structure here after price tapped into this fair value gap here. Let's highlight this one well. So this is a fair value gap here. This one right here is a fair value gap. You see how price taps into this fair value gap and give us a break of market structure here at this point here, and also we can see that there is a fair value gap here. So this fair value gap that is being formed here at this spot is where we'll take our entry. So you can see how price tap into this fair value gap, and we'll be taking our entry, our first trade, just like so, like this, and put your stop loss here and your take profit here. Your take profit should be at the previous high. You can see how price tapped into this previous high right here. So this is how we take our trade, giving us a risk reward of 3.56 if you are taking your trade from here. So this would be 3.11. That will be our first trade. Now our next trade is this one right here. So we have a fair value gap. As always, we have a fair value gap here. Then we anticipate that price will tap into that fair value gap and give us a break of market structure. Now this is our second trade. We have for us a fair value gap here, and you can see how price crossed below this previous low. This is our break of market structure. This is our BOS right here. So the next thing we need to look for is any fair value gap at this spot. Now is there a fair value gap here? Yes, we have fair value gap here at the extreme zone where we can find our order block, and of course this is a supply zone. So now we have our supply zone here, and this is where we take our trade, just like so, like this. Your entry for your bearish trade, and you put your stop loss right above this previous high here, and your take profit should be at the tip like of that previous low. So this is it. We have for us a nice trade. And if you are not okay with that, there's a fair value gap at this spot here. So I wouldn't be going back to check it again, but if you're using that fair value gap, you can take your profit here at this 5.9 ratio risk to reward. That would have given you a good bearish trade. And the next one is on Tuesday. So we have a Tuesday, we have a trade on Tuesday, and we have a fair value gap here on Tuesday in the morning. Then we anticipate for price tapping into this fair value gap here. So now we have for us another fair value gap, and what would make this fair value gap valid is this tapping into a previous fair value gap and a break of market structure as usual. We'll find our break of market structure to give us that confirmation that price is ready to go up. Now we have an inducement here that would want price to take out before tapping into our fair value gap, and this inducement has made our setup stronger. So now we have for us an entry here. So we'll take our entry like so at this spot here, and our stop loss should be at the end of this previous low right here. So this is it. And the next one is our take profit. Our take profit should be at the start of a previous fair value gap, just like this. You can see all the consolidation because of this fair value gap right here, but still we can also put our second take profit here, giving us a risk to reward of 3.92. So this is a bullish trade, which is our number 3 trade on Tuesday. And let me give you a recap. So we have a fair value gap here, as you can see, a fair value gap, and we have price tapping into that fair value gap and also giving us a break of market structure here. The next thing we'll look for is our fair value gap that has been created after this fair value gap. This is where we'll take our entry. As price comes down as inducements, we wait for price coming towards that area, because the area has become a magnet because of that fair value gap here that has been created and not yet tapped into or filled. So now we take our entry from here at the top of that fair value gap, and we take our trade all the way to this previous high right here. So that is our number 3 trade. Now let's go on to our number 4 trade. Our number 4 trade happens to be on Wednesday, the next day. So we have for us a fair value gap. This is a fair value gap here that has not been filled yet, and we take it all the way down to the previous low. That is our order block there. As you know, this is a demand area now. So now price taps into this place, this fair value gap here, goes up but did not cross any previous high. So it did not give us any break of market structure. So now we need price to tap into this fair value gap again. So price did what? Tapped into this fair value gap and created a break of market structure right here. As you can see, we have a break of market structure, that is price crossing and closing above a previous high on a bullish trade. And prior to that, price created for us a fair value gap right here, and this is it. So we have a fair value gap here. We are anticipating that price will tap into, and you can see first of all we have an inducement here. This is our inducement, as price needs to tap below this inducement, taking out that inducement just like the previous trade, and now we have an entry here on our number 4 trade. So this is how we take our entry on a long position. So this is our entry right below that inducement, and we have our stop loss here below this previous low right here. This previous low here, this one here is where we put our stop loss. So we are using the power of that fair value gap, and now we have take profit should be at the start of this previous fair value gap right here. You can see this fair value gap right here. We can take our profit there, or better still, we take our profit at this previous high here. So this would have given us a risk reward of 4.0 ratio. You see how price has got into our TP. So the next one is our number 5 trade. Now let's move back a bit and see where price is coming from. There is a fair value gap here on a higher time frame. If you go on to our 15 minutes time frame, let's go on to our 15 minutes time frame to see this fair value gap here for our number 5 trade. As you can see, this is our fair value gap here, and also our supply area. So it has been highlighted now that we have a fair value gap here, and also reason for a supply trade. Now it has been highlighted to this area here, and you can see how price tapped into this area, and what has given us a, let me take this number 4 trade out, giving us a break of market structure and a fair value gap. So let me highlight it for you guys. Now we have a fair value gap here. This is a fair value gap right here. As you can see, this fair value gap here, it's waiting to be filled up, right? So now we have a break of market structure also. So this is our break of market structure. This is your break of market structure. You can also call this a break of market structure because price has gone below and also closed below these previous lows here, and we are working on this fair value gap, right? So the next thing we need to do is to highlight from this fair value gap, or you can also use this order block right here. So let's try from this order block and take it to this place right here. Why I'm using this spot, because on a lower time frame like the 5-minute time frame, there's a high here that I'm going to use as my stop loss. So let's look at the number 5 trade like this, short position, and we'll take it from here, and this is our stop loss, and this is our entry here. So our take profit should be below this one here. This low is good enough for your take profits, but if you want more take profits, because this is just 1.67 risk to reward ratio, you can use this previous low here, or better still, we use this previous low here that has been highlighted here. So let's take it all the way down to this spot here, this previous low, and we have for us a risk to reward of 3.43, and see how price taps our TP right here. So price has filled up this fair value gap, tap into this order block, and went down to fill up our TP. The next trade, which is our number 6 trade, will be this. So we would have to go to our 5-minute time frame. So now we are on our 5-minute time frame, and we are anticipating that price will tap into this fair value gap and create for us a break of market structure, and prior to that a fair value gap for our entry. So now we have a first fair value gap here, price tapped into it and created for us a break of market structure. You can see a break of market structure here. The next one would look for is price creating a fair value gap. You can see this fair value gap here. Can you see this fair value gap? This fair value gap has been created after price tapped into this first higher time frame fair value gap. So as price created a break of market structure and a fair value gap, you can see that our entry should be like this. At the start of this fair value gap is our entry, and this is on Thursday, so we have our stop loss at this spot here. And the next one is our take profit. Where should we put our take profit? Right here, of course. So this is our take profit at this previous high. This is where our take profit should be, and it should have given us a risk reward of 3.83. So let's go on to our number 7 trade. Let's check for our number 7 trade here. Okay, so now we have our number 7 trade here. As usual, what we need to look for is a fair value gap. Now a fair value gap has been seen, it has been created here. Price tapped into this fair value gap, yeah, of course. So the next thing we need to look for is if price created for us a break of market structure after it taps into that fair value gap. So now we have our break of market structure here, yes, and we have for us a fair value gap. Let me align this fair value gap from here to here. We have our fair value gap created here. So the next thing would check out is our stop loss and our TP. So this is our long position as price taps into the zone. Put our stop loss here right below that low, and you can take your profit here. As you can see, our price also went above this previous high, and just take your profit here. So if you want a better risk reward ratio, you can as well reduce your entry to this spot, to the center of this fair value gap right here, and you'd have seen your take profit higher. So this is an older block here you would have used for your stop loss, and you would have seen a reward of 3.0 risk to reward ratio. So let's check on to our number 8 trade. Let's put this aside because our number 8 trade is just right at the corner here. So we have a fair value gap here. Price taps into this fair value gap here. This is your fair value gap, your first fair value gap. The next thing we would look for is a break of market structure after price taps into this fair value gap. So we have a break of market structure here. These are highs. You see consolidation. They were consolidating here. Price was consolidating here and tapped into this fair value gap. Rallied to the upside and also created a fair value gap here. Let me increase this to see that fair value gap. Now this is a fair value gap right here. This is the fair value gap here, and what you need to do is to highlight that fair value gap to this spot here, and you see how price tapped into it, and this would have been your entry here for a long position. Your entry here, and your TP should be right above that previous high. This should have been your TP here, risk to reward of 1.63. No, we have to put our stop loss here below this previous low right here. So this is your risk to reward ratio, 2.21. But you can see how price went above and taps into this fair value gap right here. This is a fair value gap here. So before the fair value gap, you can see how price rallied to the upside and also taps into this previous fair value gap, and you would have gotten a risk to reward ratio of 4.19, and you see how price went beyond this area, and you can see price closing above that previous high. So the next trade we have is our number 9 trade. Now this number 9 trade is a tricky one because price taps into this fair value gap as usual. The next one you need to look for is, after price tapping into that fair value gap, do we see a fair value gap again? Okay, yes, we have a fair value gap here, and we have a break of market structure right here. So at this spot we can use this fair value gap here. This is a fair value gap you can use here. This is what price made use of. This is a fair value gap here, and you can take your position into this area, and your stop loss should be here. This is a risky one because there's no fair value gap here, and you wouldn't want to have a risk to reward of 0.5 ratio. So it's better you take the risk and put your take profits right below this previous low right here, and you would have gotten a risk to reward of 2.01 if you don't take it here. So if it's better here, you have a risk to reward of 2.01. So that is double what you entered with. And the next one we have on our list is here. This one is here, an ongoing trade, because price tapped into this previous fair value gap on a 5-minute time frame. This is a previous fair value gap. Price tapped into it and gave us a break of market structure right here. The next thing we'd look for is your fair value gap. Has it been tapped into? Yes, this is our fair value gap here. So the next thing we'd look for is this. Since our fair value gap has been tapped into, we are waiting for price to cross above this previous high, or at this fair value gap here. This would have been a tick profit for me, but at this point my stop loss has been protected, right? So at the opening of Monday, we'll check for the next trade. So at the opening of Monday, we'll check for the next trade, and let's move over to our 15-minute time frame. Let's take this out to see a clearer view of the markets. So we have a fair value gap here. This is a fair value gap here. That's my index price from moving up, and we have projection like this. Why? Because of this fair value gap here. And remember, this fair value gap has tapped into this fair value gap right here. So this is how the price has tapped into this previous fair value gap, and we have another fair value gap after a break of what? A break of market structure here. This is a break of market structure, a fair value gap and a fair value gap. So I'm anticipating price tapping into this fair value gap and moving downward. So let's take this out and go on to our higher time frame, which is 30 minutes time frame. Now we have a 30 minutes time frame. So because we are on a bullish trend, and this fair value gap here has been respected, so it could be that price will tap into this fair value gap and move to the upside. So because of that, I just so that price tap into this one like this. So let's take this out. So be sure of your fair value gap, and at the opening of Monday's market, let's see what the price brings to us. Alright guys, so those are the trades we missed last week. So see you on the next episode on the trades you missed last week. Bye guys, and peace.